outside left.
Pulls back out. They go far side.
Low shot to score. What a shot. What a gorgeous shot by Peter Scott. Came around left-handed and put it right in between the legs of the goalie. He really didn't have a prayer. Again, very little bit of angle, rolling around.
You nailed it, Joe. As soon as Syracuse comes up, shows a little bit of force, Hopkins comes right back and scores and takes the wind out of their sails.
Let's take a look at it again. Peter Scott coming around. Doesn't look like he has much of anything. He loads that ball really down, and you can see it. Travis Sullivan thought he had the ball, but it wasn't there. And Johns Hopkins goes up on top by 4 goals again, 9-5 with 9:44 remaining in the third period.
Peter Scott brings the ball back out front. The first time Scott's handled. Starts and scores very easily. No backup from Syracuse. And now Johns Hopkins has moved out to a 6-2 lead. 13 minutes and 37 seconds remaining in the half.
Bob, he had such a small amount of angle on that goal, as we'll see in this replay. Had such a small amount of angle on that particular goal, but it looked to me like it was going to hit the back of the goal, and I think most of the people in the stadium thought it was a backside shot. It wasn't going to go in, and everybody was surprised, including Sullivan. Johns Hopkins now up 6-2, and I'm surprised that Roy Simmons Jr. hasn't called a timeout.
There comes Brad Kotz. Penalties over. Well, teams are all even. Picked off by Del Dressel. Now it's a foot raise up the sideline. Good wrap check. Dressel rolls in. A man open, and Scotty scores.
And that's just what Hopkins loves to do. They were on the ropes a little bit with Syracuse. Syracuse coming back. Johns Hopkins intercepts the ball on an errant feed, comes down. Superstar Del Dressel feeds it off, and Johns Hopkins doubles the score, 8-4 against Syracuse. Let's take a look at it again. Here's the feed across, and the goal, no one on him. Travis Sullivan really doesn't have a shot.
Picked off in front by Quinn on the centering attempt. Now the Jays have got it back.
What we missed there, Bob, was that was a penalty, a possession penalty, and they were in an extra man situation. So that means Syracuse squandered that opportunity and might lose a goal in the process.
Lancey moves in. Shot and a goal. 4 goals for Johns Hopkins as Peter Scott makes it 4-0. Peter Scott trying to roll in on his own.
Behind.
There's Wood feeding in front. Shot by Odenthal, stopped by Mims. And loose in front. Desco trying to win that ground ball, and Tucker's over there. Scott, shot, goal! Peter Scott, his second, and it is 6-0 Johns Hopkins.
Real smart play. There's Donnie Zimmerman. He likes it, but so far, it's all Hopkins. He will not let his team slow down. Last year they slowed down, and they paid the price. There's Peter Scott. What Peter Scott here did was he came into a defenseman and picked him up. And watch Scott get the loose ball. All hustle. Johnny Tucker comes over. Johnny Tucker gets the ground ball, flips it behind the head. Now Scott gets it. He'll drive into somebody picks him up. He's looking for the defenseman to slide to him. Watch him point to somebody. Nobody picks him up. So what does he do? Left-handed crank. Boom. Nims can't save all of them. And just like that, it's 6-0.
10 minutes remaining, period 3. Here comes Brian Wood into the area. Still controlling that ground ball and keeping it alive. Flipping it off to Muchler. Number 20, Muchler. Watched by Cambria. Schreiber. Shot just wide in front as it caromed off Odenthal, who didn't expect it. And Hopkins has all these ground balls now. Peter Scott feeds in front. Shot and a goal. Steve Muchler, his 7th goal of the season. And Hopkins takes a 3-goal lead. 8-7, Hopkins will have possession. They are clinging to a 1-goal lead, a tenuous lead, as Syracuse has put it all together in period 2, and Coach Don Zimmerman's team has been under the gun. Hopkins have the first 6 goals of the game.
You see Joe Cowan right behind him, assistant coach in the offense. Joe Cowan was one of the greatest attackmen ever to play the game, and he helps that offense each and every year.
Schreiber to Steve Muchler, number 20. Muchler to Peter Scott. Scott couldn't be handled there by John Tucker, and Scott fights for that ground ball. In there is Kevin Sheehan, and it comes right to Fred Opie. The Orangemen have it, looking to tie the match. A little bit too far, though, and one back by Hopkins, and now Willie Odenthal, the captain. Works it in on Jeff Desco. Odenthal, number 8 in white.
Odenthal better get that offense together because they're being outrun by this young Syracuse team on the defensive end. The offense for Hopkins has to push a little harder.
Shot! Steve Muchler His second of the game, and just as it so has happened several times, Hopkins on the ropes is able to cling to their lead. It's 9-7.
There he is, Steve Mutchler. He's got some good bloodlines himself. His dad was an all-pro football player for the '58 championship Baltimore Colts. Jim Mutchler, you may remember him. But here he is making a nice cut across the crease, and he gets a nice feed from Peter Scott, a beautiful feed. Another angle right here. And watch, the ball goes to the wing. Comes out, looks for the cutting Mutchler, who takes a shot and places it beautifully between the legs of Tommy Nims.
So, 32 to play. You can't say enough about what Syracuse has done today as well. Down early, 6-0. Storming back to close it down to a one-goal game. But they never tied. They were never able to lead, but they showed the mettle that last year brought them from behind for the championship from a 7-goal difference. Again, the face-off now with 32 seconds to play. At midfield, Matthews wins it once again. Gets it back now to John Tucker. Tucker moves in with 20 seconds. Tucker with 18 seconds. There's Ciccarone. To Eric Dressel. In front, the shot over the top by Ciccarone with 7 seconds. 5 seconds as the ball remains on the field of play. And that's it. Senior class will not graduate empty-handed at Johns Hopkins.